Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today we are graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
And I'm an educator who finds her way back
Jeanette,
to creativity later in life.
start again. I had to play that video first. You can't hear me? What has changed? Something's changed. Technology is great when it works. Go out and come back in again. Okay, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And
all right. Start again. Start from the beginning.
Yes, apologies for that. I'm Jeanette Karnas, and I'm an educator who found her way back to creativity later in life. I create handmade decor through Designs a Mano, and alongside with my husband, we run 277 Designs, turning retired fire gear into something meaningful. And everything that we do is driven by purpose and story. And I want to tell you a story how all this began. Purpose didn't come to me in success. It came to me in a moment I didn't expect. I remember it clearly. It was during monsoon season where I was smelling the rain, listening to it, feeling the thunder, the lightning, and the house was quiet. And I was just sitting there. And I remember feeling like everything had slowed down because life before that was always busy, always moving, always something to do. But at that moment, everything felt still. And I was watching my husband sewing. And what stayed with me wasn't just what he was doing, it was how he was doing it. He was in a lot of pain. After 30 years in the fire service, his body had taken so much. And yet, there he was, still creating something. And I remember thinking, why keep going after everything that happened? And I sat there just watching him. And something inside me started to shift. Just like that. Because I realized this wasn't just about staying busy. This was something deeper. This was healing. And that moment changed me. Because that's when I began to understand purpose doesn't come from perfect conditions. Sometimes it's built in the middle of pain. Before that, my life looked very different. I worked in education for many years. I was always moving, always taking care of responsibilities, always in that go, go, go mode. And I think a lot of us live like that. We keep going without ever stopping to ask ourselves, is this what I really want? I didn't ask that question because I thought this is just how life is. But life has a certain way of interrupting what we think it is certain. When my husband had to retire, everything changed. Not just our routine, but how we saw everything. There was uncertainty, there were many questions, and moments where we didn't know what to do next. What is next? In that space, something unexpected happened. Creativity showed up, not as a plan, not as a business idea, but as a way to cope. To cope. And that changed everything. That moment became the beginning of something new. It led us to create 277 Designs, where retired fire gear is transformed into something that continues to carry meaning, giving a second life. And it led me to build Designs a Mano, a space where I create pieces that bring intention, beauty, and sense of memory into people's homes. But neither of these started as a business idea. They started as a response to a moment. I used to believe purpose was something you find, that one day you figure it out. But that was not that happened to me, not to me. It wasn't a moment. It was a process. Purpose is something you build. You build it in small moments, in uncertainty, in pain, and that realization changed everything for me. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts with small steps, having the courage to begin, being resilient when things feel hard, moving forward even when you don't see the full picture, and allowing yourself to change. That's how transformation happens. And I know there are people listening right now who feel stuck, who feel like life didn't go the way it's supposed to be, the way it was expected to be, who feel like maybe it's too late. But I want you to hear this. Just pause for a moment. That feeling doesn't mean you're done. It means something new is trying to begin. You don't need a new life. You need a new decision. I always go back to that moment watching my husband sawing through pain. And that time, it felt really difficult. But now I see it differently. That moment was not the end of something, it was the beginning of everything. And that's when I understood it's not too late. You are not done. You're just invited to begin again.
Oh, wow. Jeanette, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
it was difficult. One of the moments I was wanting to break, but I said no, I have to continue because it really, you have no idea. That moment I remember if it was yesterday. And because he still work with pain, because
Mm,
that pain, it will never go away, never. And that's the only way to cope, and to try to forget for that moment the pain in order to finish that product that he's doing.
mm.
And
So what was the hardest part of leaving behind your identity after 30 years in education?
you know what? It was not easy. I retired barely in January, and and it was that time that I said, because of my husband, that I know that he's in pain, and he's at home, and I'm at work in the office. It got to the point that I needed to be home because sometimes, because he's alone, and his legs and back can just give up like that.
Mm,
He always have to have the phone to dial 911.
just in
So
case.
just in case. So when I was in the office, I was always thinking, oh my God, hopefully everything's okay. So I'm
Mm,
texting him, and then I said, you know what? No, I'm just going to be with him, help him, and I already did a lot of years, as an educator, and that's why I'm trying to run for governing board for the school district here in my community, so that I can continue and have a voice to that school district.
So
Um,
did you ever feel like it was too late to start again? And how did you overcome that belief?
yes, I thought about that it was too late, um, especially because I began really young working when I was 20,
Mhm.
and I never stopped since. And then on my age, I said, start to begin again. Oh, I don't know if this will happen. But when I saw my husband, and I cannot compare at all with the
Mm,
pain that he's in, and he was doing those bags, I said, I cannot give up. If he's doing that with
yeah.
pain, why can I continue with my dream that I had before, that I had to leave in my decor business?
Mm,
So between the two of us, we talked about it, yes. Um, okay, so the two of us, between 277 Designs and Designs a Mano, we're just going to do what we can with a lot of pride, and because we're building a legacy for our family. And
mm,
that's when I said to myself, no, it wasn't too late. actually is a
I hear you.
beginning. Is the
Yeah.
beginning for me to start something that I love. I love education. Don't get me wrong. I really love education, especially the little ones in elementary school.
Yeah.
But um, but this was a shift, to start our own business, and
Yeah.
in a way of, that's why I was saying it's not too late. I know that sometimes we feel overwhelmed and
Yes.
super overwhelmed, but at the same time, if you have a tiny, 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 tiny bit of energy and that purpose, and oh, I would like to do that, but I don't know if I can,
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
that thinking.
Follow it.
Yes, you can do it,
Yeah.
because that's how I began, and because of the pain that my husband still has,
Mm,
because that will never go away.
yeah.
And so sometimes I'm with him, sim ripping the turnouts, like gear turnouts. We will have an order and two orders, and but it's we are a complement, so between the two of us we can build this. And um and I feel actually he was my inspiration, because if I didn't set that day, that was like I said, during monsoon, I was just looking at him sawing, but I thought, okay, was he sawing?
Mm,
Wow. Because he didn't
interesting.
know how to do it. He didn't know
Mm,
how to do it. He
yes.
just Yeah, he just began, and with YouTube, self-taught. And I was looking at him because I can see his body language of pain. And I
Yeah.
was just looking at him and I said, oh my God, wow. It hit me. And I said, okay, I'm going
So
to, yes, to
let,
retire. Yeah.
let me ask a question.
Yes.
When did you realize that this wasn't just a business but a purpose?
Um, Actually, 2 months ago,
Okay.
because 277 Design started um, almost 3 years ago, when
Hmm.
everything, what my story that I just told is when that happened 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, my husband told me, I don't want this to be something that I am not going that I'm not going to be happy doing it,
Yeah.
because I do it with love. I do it for my community, the first responders, and just I just want to give, not as a business, not as like, okay, I need to grow and make a lot of money. No, this is something that whatever we do, to to continue, and yes, people to recognize us, but it's
Mm,
a way of, for him, it's a way of healing. That's the
yes.
main thing. It's the main purpose for him, is a healing, because he's not remembering the pain. And if he
That is
does,
so.
yeah.
So,
And
how did the creativity become a form of healing in your life?
um, it became when we both sat down and we said, okay, I love to do this. And actually my daughter was the one who gave me the idea to begin selling on online. And
Right.
um, and I said, I have no idea how to do that. He said, no, 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 I can help you. And
Good.
that 277, it's my husband badge number as a firefighter. That's why it
Oh,
stayed at
thank
277. And designs a mano, my daughter was the one who told me about the designs by hand, no, a mano. And
yeah.
so that's how we turned this into a purpose, uh, of way of giving people's what they like, uh, to treasure them, to value how it came from, because that's a big difference, how it came from. And
Yeah.
um, if people sees what he does,
Mm,
they will be amazed. And that's why I have some videos, because I needed to show people to comprehend what he's making with his hands, because it's not
mm,
easy. Those uniforms are very heavy.
yeah.
The firefighter uniforms are super heavy, and he needs to seam ripped by hand in
That's so
order
funny.
cut him in order to make a bag. And
Wow.
yes, so he doesn't
For
mind
some-
doing it, and he doesn't mind doing it for money. Uh, it's a way that he imagine when we don't have orders. He's like, what am I going to do next? I need to work. It's like
yeah.
he feels lost. He feels lost.
So tell me
So
something. For someone who is feeling stuck right now, reach that age where they think they can't reinvent themselves, what is the first step that they should take?
they need to stop for a moment and think themselves, is this a really difficult time that I'm going through?
Mm,
Can I cope with that? Because if they don't, they need to understand that doesn't happen like that all of a sudden. It
right. Yeah.
comes in steps. So if they feel stuck, I felt stuck in so many different ways, even
Mm,
as an educator. But I, if they pause for a moment, like I said before, because we don't know what kind of an issue, what kind of a problem they have, why they're stuck, why they feel like they it didn't go the way it was expected to do, or they feel
mm,
maybe it's too late.
yeah.
I just want them to realize that something new is trying to begin for them. If
Yeah.
they take that time and they realize it's a new, they don't need to change their life. No, they just need to make a decision. Okay, I'm doing this like I
Yes.
did. Okay, I'm doing this with my husband and I'm doing it. It's the same thing. Everybody's different. I totally understand. But there's
So it's
always a
about
way. Yeah,
changing your
there's
mindset.
yes, yes. There's always a way how to cope. There's always
Yeah.
a way how to begin. There's always a way of passing of something, and it can be weeks, it can be months, but
Mm-hmm.
something from that, it can begin something that you will never expect it and say, oh wow, this is what I really wanted to do. You know?
And you look back at it.
Exactly.
So,
Yes.
so what kind of a legacy do you want to leave through your work?
The legacy it is that what we do, it is something is driven by purpose and story. For me, that's
Mm,
very, I want that to stick. I want that to everybody knows that what we do in our business is
mm,
it was because of a purpose and
mhm.
because of our story. And that's the legacy that we'd like to continue.
I
That's
like
it.
that. You're really immortalizing your lives through your work. So, how
Yes.
can women, especially those later in life, begin to see their story as an asset instead of a limitation?
Mm, you know, I know that a lot of people they have a lot of limitations. And
Jeanette, you have dropped out. Something is happening on your computer today. So maybe drop out and come back in again. It's happened again. I'll try and call you on your phone. Drop out of the call and come back in again. It's interesting when we have these technological issues sometimes. Let's see if I can get her on the phone.
It doesn't exist. So it's something that it is,
Jeanette,
yes.
something went wrong there. The screen went blank, so I didn't hear the
Oh,
last answer. Your screen was completely blank. So
oh,
I don't know if anything changed on your side or you switched
oh,
windows. So
no,
answer that question again. The question was, how can women, especially those later in life, begin to see their story as an asset instead of a limitation?
yeah. And you know what? That's very important because an asset can be anything that you want to do. That's your asset. And if you have a limitation, it's something that you have to realize that it's not too late. Even with that limitation, pursue your asset because asset can come in different ways. And it can be either uh, a business or it can be any career. That's your asset. But don't give up just because you have a limitation and you want to pursue that. As I know that you will feel stuck, but everything will turn the way that it's supposed to be. If you have the patience to do it, sometimes we don't, because I'm a
Yes.
person that sometimes I don't have the patience. But I
Mm.
had to learn how to be patient because uh, because my husband always said, "You have to be patient." I said, "Oh no, I want this done like that." I said, "No, that's not the way to do
Mm.
it. Because if you do it like that, sooner or later, you're going to feel overwhelmed,
Yeah.
stressed, tired. So you have to have appreciate your asset. Don't give
Yes.
up because you have a limitation. Just appreciate it so they can flourish. That can flourish, and um, that's what I'm telling everybody out there. Um, Times can be tough, and especially now these days.
Yes.
But if you put yourself in a position that caring, listen to this, caring, customer service, that sometimes we
Mm.
don't have that anymore. And
Yes.
and you want to be heard, don't stop. Just continue. Because sooner or later I know there's someone out there is going to appreciate what you've done, what you
Yeah.
do, or what you're going to do.
Yes.
And that's a fact. Even though we have those struggles, that's the fact. And that's why I tell people and would like to tell more about it. You know, it is we need to be kind because
Mm.
with kind, imagine that our businesses. Imagine that we are a business that is a business, just a business.
Mm.
Run the business, do numbers, this, that, like a mass produce. We don't
Mm.
want that because
No.
you lose your customers, you lose your customer service, you lose uh, the momentum that you want to build if you do
Yeah.
it that way. So
That
that's why
is.
you need to take, yeah, you need to slow down. And like they say, slow down and smell the roses. Well, something like that.
So, what is one message that you want every listener to walk away with after hearing your story?
That there's always moments in your life that you don't even think that is happening, that it just
Yes.
passed through you. Please just pause for a few seconds and
Mm,
analyze what you want to do. Just analyze it. And
yes.
I can promise you, because for experience, if you analyze what you want in your life, even if it takes time, you'll see that something new is going to happen.
Yeah, that is so true.
So that's my my
Your
final thing
advice.
that I want to say exactly, because in my story there is a really true story, and we're still living it, and I don't know until when. I think forever. But you know what? We didn't give up. We didn't give up, and
Going.
I just want people to understand that life, it has a way of shifting, so it can shift for you for
Yeah,
something better. So
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. So
And
don't give up.
thank you so much for coming online and sharing your inspiring story with us today. It's
You're
beautiful to
welcome.
see a husband and a wife who are able to work together, build a business later on in life. Very, very inspiring. Thank you for coming and sharing today.
Well, thank you. You're welcome, and thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share these stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
Today's story is the story of reinvention. Despite the health challenges that Jeanette's husband had, he found a new career, a new vocation, a distraction that stopped him from focusing from the pain he was experiencing. And now he's turned it into a business. So please share this video with your community, with your friends. If you know someone who is going through a physical challenge, is struggling on how to move on with their lives, share this video so we can inspire more women and men. This is a story of a beautiful couple who've taken their pain and turned it into something beautiful. So I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Jeanette, thank you again for this interview.
You're welcome. You're
Don't
welcome.
go away.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.